Hello everyone, I'm Zack Jankowiak, and this is my composition 1. Starting in the top left with the first panel, I use this space to show balance. As we can see, the primary shapes in this panel and throughout the rest of the composition are rectangular in nature. Using the Gestalt principles of proximity and similarity, the viewer groups the squares on the left together. The Gestalt principle of closure is also used so viewers perceive the 6 individual squares on the left as a whole, and that perceived rectangle mirrors the large rectangle on the right of the panel across the vertical axis, creating a sense of horizontal balance. Located in the top right of the piece, panel 2 demonstrates rhythm. I used the same rectangular shapes from panel 1, scaled them down, and arranged them into groups of 9 equally spaced rectangles with a central rectangle outlined with red neon. The Gestalt principles of proximity and similarity were used here so that the viewer perceives each group of 9 small rectangles as one larger rectangle. Again, these larger rectangles are evenly spaced in such a way so that they form one large rectangle. The use of regular repetition of shapes in this panel along with the arrangement of those shapes helps to show rhythm. In the bottom left of the composition we have panel 3, and here I tried to show scale. Using the Gestalt principle of figure ground, the dark rectangular shapes are the figure, and the void created by the empty space within the outer rectangle is the ground. The principle of closure is used here as this empty space also creates a rectangle. I think a sense of scale in this panel can be seen in 2 ways, the first being within each shape. As hierarchy is established in terms of size when comparing the outer black rectangle, the inner rectangle created by the empty space, and the smaller black rectangle within the empty space. The second way scale can be seen here is when comparing the object on the left, which keeps all the proportions of the larger object intact, but is a smaller, scaled down version of the object on the right. In panel 4, located in the bottom right corner, I decided to focus on emphasis. This panel uses rectangles and a similar arrangement of those shapes from panel 2. Using the Gestalt principles of closure, which states that we perceive objects together when enclosed by a shape or a boundary, I had the 6 centrally located shapes enclosed by a larger rectangle. The rectangles in the columns on either side of the central column are outlines of the rectangle formed by the smaller rectangles on the perimeter. These hollow outlined rectangles contrast the 2 solid centrally located rectangles. I also used contrast through color with the use of red neon and subtle lighting around the 2 central rectangles, making these colored shapes stand out amongst the primarily grayscale panel. I tried to achieve a sense of unity throughout the composition through several methods, the first being the use of color, as the majority of the piece is grayscale, accented with red neon. Consistency and repetition can be seen through the extensive use of the rectangular shapes, whether that was the objects themselves, objects perceived through closure, the shape enclosing each panel, or the canvas having the same aspect ratio as the rectangles used in the composition. Thank you for watching my presentation.